What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How's everybody doing out there on this Thursday, February 8th of 2024 for episode 110? I'm Alex, and for some reason, David is back. Dave, how did it go? Are you fully trans now? Do you have to take any pills? Was it a full surgery? You weren't here last week, so
I almost wish that were true, because that would at least give me some clout. I'd be able to put it on the internet, get something. Maybe I'd get an ad somewhere. I'd be able to make some money.
You'd be like, what was it, Mr. Beast?
Right beer.
Yeah, you'd be Mr. Beast, my little sidekick, Mr. Beast. Trans dude.
I'd covert my way in there next.
Please, that maybe that'll get us some clout. Dave, that's your new mission. Become Sarah. You're gonna become Sarah by in like a month.
I'll just doubtfire it.
Doubtfire it.
People forget that movie now. I could work that.
That does work. So before we get into all the fun stuff, if you like what you hear, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Look for us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. So last week's show, like I said, David wasn't here. I had on my buddy Brandon Scoopy Robinson. We talked everything NBA trade deadline. He's an NBA insider, and the trade deadline was today. And there wasn't as many flurries as I think people thought there were going to be. But Scoop kind of gave us a heads up. He didn't think any big names were moving. So go listen to that. It was a great show. But this week, we are going to have an absolutely fun show because this individual is right smack dab in the middle of the culture war. And I want to say in one of the manliest freaking ways you could possibly get in. All the Bud Light stuff started going down, and while everyone was sitting there trying to figure out what to do about it, this guy was like, fuck it, I'm gonna make beer that
was literally the phrase, I think.
that isn't gonna support trans people and influencers to 14 and 15-year-olds. So he is Seth Weathers. He is the CEO of Conservative Dad's Ultra Right Beer. What's going on, Seth?
It's good to be here. I'm excited.
Absolutely. We're pumped to have you on.
He was trans, though. I feel like that would have made this dynamic of an interview a little more interesting. So,
I mean, how do you know he's not? How do you know he's not actually a chick and he's just really well passing?
It used to be the mustache and beard, but now you never know.
Anyway, listen, hey, that would be a shocker for everyone on the show if Dave. And, you would have, hey, listen, you would have done pretty well in your boxing match this past week if you were a chick. So you actually stood up. So, I want to jump right into it. Conservative Dad's Ultra Right Beer. Why start the company?
Well, I think we've kind of already hinted around on it. I've been involved in politics for a long time. I've got 2 kids. They're young. I got a 6 and 11-year-old. And just watching what was going on in the country. Then when that ad came out, and you know what ad I'm talking about, I turned to someone. I was like, God, I wish I knew how to make beer. Because I knew it was a cultural moment. Because conservatives have never followed through on boycotts, ever.
Yep.
We've maybe skipped a few football games, a few things like this, and it would quickly move back on. And so we had no value in the corporate world. We had no economic value in the corporate world because they knew we'd always just suck it up and take whatever dribble they give us.
Yep.
And something about it, again, from working in politics for over a decade, like, this is a moment. I knew it was a cultural moment. I was like, this might be the time that conservatives are willing to go all the way and lead. Because my goal, and what I always said from the beginning of this, was we have to cause permanent economic harm to a major corporation. And all the energy, I literally used to tweet about this and talk about this for years. All the energy is going to have to be, we're going to have to decide on one. We can't boycott them all. Like, look, my house is filled with shit made out of communist China. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have to pick one, but it's so wild because I've said for years, it's got to be a company that is just known by everyone.
Yep.
And everyone, and then this came along. I was like, shit, this could be it. And so, it kind of went on from the whole, I wish I knew how to make beer, and having this conversation with some people. I was like, well, I mean, it's one of the most regulated industries in the country. I definitely created some what would be called powerful enemies along in the process.
Could imagine.
And we went to work, and we had out, they came out on April 1st with that insanity. We launched on April the 12th with a 30-day pre-order thing. So we came out with our commercial. We filmed it, produced it, the entire thing for $600.
Wow.
Which included $500 to the video guy. We unfortunately had to buy 2 cases of Bud Light to film it and a Louisville Slugger baseball bat. And within, I think, a week, we were almost at 50 million views. Without Elon Musk, we wouldn't have existed because that's the only platform that allowed us to go that viral.
Yep.
And, across multiple platforms as time went on, you add in, the media, we got it. We're over 100 million views on our first ad. You can't buy that kind of branding for a new company. You just can't. Mm-hmm. And so it just, a lot of things collided at the right time and at the same time, and throw in a decent amount of luck. And here we are. There's been a lot of people try to stop us along the way. And there still will be, but that does make it a little bit exciting. And we're growing, we're hiring more people, we're expanding, we're launching into multiple states. We're about to launch some really big states that are going to be really big for us in the coming months. And those are with statewide, in-store, on-premise, meaning restaurants and bars, distribution. And, we were only in business 8 months last year, which is just why the whole thing's been a whirl. It's just a wild situation. And it's, you talk to people in the industry, it's like, you can't produce that much beer. You can't get that many cans. You can't do all these things. If I knew now what I didn't know then, I would have never attempted to start a beer company, ever, which is why everyone thought I was absolutely fucking nuts when I did. And I go to the people in the industry, and I remember one conversation I was having with someone in the industry, and they were like, well, we just don't do it that way in the beer industry. And I'm like, why? And we go through it, and it just comes back to, we just don't do it that way. I'm like, well, now we do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it illegal? Well, no. Well, then let's do it. You know? And it's just so it's an industry that is filled with old school mindset, boss hog mindset, and we don't allow the new guy in here. You got to kiss the ring. I'm not very good at kissing rings. It's probably hard to guess. So we've chosen to fight instead. And that may have made a little bit of the process harder than it could have been. But we're going to stick to our guns on this, and we're going to do it the way I think our customer base wants us to, which is in alignment with my beliefs.
And, and I love it too. And I think it's the best because we've all sat around and we've all had like these great ideas, right? These $1 million ideas and this and that. And you kind of talk about them and you talk a little bit and then all of a sudden you forget, right? And you just move on. I love that you're just like, fuck it, let's do it. And, like you said, without Elon allowing you to like really put that out, that's huge that Elon, did that.
On Twitter when he did, and just, so many things came about that this wouldn't have been. Elon Musk has done does not get enough credit, actually. I don't care what you think of him or this, that, and the other. He said this, you disagree with, or that. I don't care. He has done more for freedom than every single one of the elected Republicans in Washington, D.C. over the past, whatever it is, year and a half now.
But I just said to David the other day, I have a fear that he might be the Antichrist because he's come on too damn strong, quick.
I've heard this. I don't have that fear.
I have nothing against Elon. I think, he's doing just fine. I'm happy.
A healthy skepticism.
But it's a healthy skepticism. Like he went from being like, people need to remember the eye on the prize for Elon. He might have shifted a little bit because like enough people have fucked with him now that he's like, all right, I'm going to go free speech, scorched earth. Yeah. But his initial goal was get the hell off the earth because it's going to explode or whatever. We're going to kill it with because he's a big climate change guy. And
he's also, look, we're slowly radicalizing him, I think. Okay?
Good.
And I think he's becoming very more in tune to a lot of things that I think he was not exposed to in the past.
Yeah.
And you don't find billionaires that are out there engaging the way he does with the commoners and all
literally
this
zero.
Stuff. And yes. And so I think the more he learns, the better he gets. And, he's doing a lot of good. Again, what he has done for free speech is unprecedented. We would not know about so many things that are now common knowledge among conservatives without him providing us the platform, quite literally.
Without the Babylon Bee getting taken off of Twitter. That was the catalyst.
They don't have to write jokes anymore, though. They could just like write real headlines, and it's just the same shit.
I love that. Like, you
know, some of them over there are great people. They need to keep it up. I'm being facetious.
You can have two jars. The Alex Jones was right jar and the Babylon Bee was right jar. I don't know which one would get more full at this point. Like, it's pretty damn close. So the name of the company, Conservative Dad's Ultra Right Beer. What is a conservative dad? If you had to put a definition on conservative dad, what qualifies as that?
You know, you could probably do that I think a lot of people, even from a lot of different facets, would fall into that category. You know, my perspective is going to maybe be different from another conservative dad, but a lot of, for me, it has to do, like I said, I've got two kids, they're 6 and 11, and it has to do with standing up, not putting up with the bullshit that we see that's happening in schools, among many other things, and not being afraid of those values either. And so I think what we're trying to do is let people know it's okay to have those opinions, and it's even more okay to share them and stand for them. You know, it's funny. I'll run into people. I'll be like at the gym, and someone will come up and be like, "Hey, man, I want you to know, like, I really support what you're doing." Like, why are we whispering right now?
And can you? And the new.
Why are we whispering right there? And they're like, I don't know. We're in a gym in Johns Creek. Like everyone, we're in a gym. Everyone here agrees with this. Okay, like this is like stop.
And the new response. The new response needs to be to that is no, you don't. Like, that's a new response. Like, when someone comes and whispers that to you, and it's like, no, you actually don't. Because if you supported me.
But the funny thing is, you'll see them kind of change because they're kind of like, oh, yeah, nothing happened.
Exactly.
You know, and it's just, you know, and you see, but I'm seeing that with people is we're helping to embolden people that it's okay to have conservative beliefs.
Yep.
And, you know, there's a lot of things that conservative beliefs entail. Some of that is that trainees shouldn't be school teachers. You shouldn't be indoctrinating your children. You shouldn't be giving kids porn at school. This is not radical stuff. Like I've got a lot of radical shit I could get into, but like we've got like a surface level of stuff that needs to be dealt with before we ever have to get in the weeds on those items. There's some basic common sense, basic even morality or whatever you want to call it that could come into play to fix a lot of the horrific problems we have right now. There's a I think you already said it was okay to curse on the show.
Absolutely. We've been doing it this whole time.
This point. But there's a fucking piece of shit in the state of Kentucky that was, and this gets me so much. I see these things so much, and this is where it comes to people being afraid to stand up and say something. And there's such fucking lemons. There was I guess a preschool daycare, and they have a tranny daycare worker taking care of these little kids. And it's just a fucking dude that looks like he could play on his college football team that threw on a wig and a dress. And they're letting this person take care of little children. If I ever fucking walked into a place that was going to have anything to do with my kids and I saw that psycho, do you think I'd have left my kids with them? And some people say, Seth, are you blaming the parents? And the response is, yes, I'm fucking blaming the parents. You're a fucking goddamn fool if you walk into that place and leave your child with that person. How fucking stupid are you? And they've all been conditioned to do so. Don't say anything. Oh, I'm sure he's just loving. He just really fucking cares about kids. All this, like, yeah, he did, unfortunately.
He might really care, yeah.
He was arrested for sexually assaulting infants.
Yep.
And Redux put that out, right?
I'm sorry?
Redux was the company. They broke that, and
they've covered the story, but it's out there. I mean, there's court documents, everything. So he does get arrested in the red state of Kentucky. It's arrested. He has a $100,000 bond. It should have been wildly more.
Yep.
He hires a very aggressive pro-trans attorney, trans rights attorney. They get his bond reduced from $100,000 to $5,000 so we can quickly get him back out into society. He's ended up pleading guilty to these. They lowered his charges so much, he's getting 0 jail time.
Yep.
And it's wild. And here's the problem.
My opinion. It's a death penalty case. But good thing it happened. Unfortunately, it happened in the very liberal blue state of Kentucky. That they can't do anything about it. But yeah, I'm being sarcastic there. Is we keep electing these people. You're electing these judges. You're going to, and it's people like, well, I can't do anything. Well, you could have done something in your primary.
Yeah.
And in case of judges, obviously, general election. But we continue. Some of the most, I had a dinner I came from earlier. I was having a conversation with someone. Some of the most blood red states elect the worst Republicans.
Consistently, too.
Kentucky.
It's a consistent thing.
Mitch McConnell, 100%. Kentucky, Mitch McConnell. South Carolina.
Lindsey Graham.
Like, he's a super nice guy. He sucks, though.
I'm sorry. Any warmonger is not a super nice guy. I don't give a fuck if I ever meet Lindsey.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. My point is, people like, oh, he's so nice. He donated this to our cause. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care.
I don't care. I don't care one bit.
I know there's people who go, well, Seth, you can't just go in and judge a book by its cover.
Nah, you're good.
Brady wants to take care of your kid in private. You should probably let him. Like, I'm not going to back off of that.
I do want to ask specifically on like the dad part of conservative dad. And for me, maybe there's a bias here because of my leanings anyway. But I feel like, and especially when you have a daughter, you automatically start shifting towards conservative dad unless you fight against it and like completely.
Unless you're dropping them off at a daycare to be taken care of by a trainee. But
exactly.
When you have kids, and I try so hard not to say this to people that when they don't have kids, but because so many people used to always tell me, well, it'll change when you have kids, Seth. You get older, like, I'm like, yeah. And it didn't mean anything because you don't realize it until it happens. Mm-hmm. And now I'm at that point where it's happened, and I know that I'm going to tell other people the same thing. It's going to have the same effect it had on me, which was none.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is kind of a natural progression there for most people, I would say. Mm-hmm. You look at people, the older they get, typically the more conservative they get.
But that's also a problem because I'm starting to get involved more local with the Republican Party as much as I fucking hate Republicans. I want to get involved with the party because, there's no good alternative outside of it. Try and fix it from within, right? So one of the things that I see that's a problem is the local theory a lot of places is that people are going to turn more conservatives as they get older. So that's where the locals puts all their bread. They put it in the 30 and 40-year-olds when the leftists are going in at 14, 15, 16 and starting even younger now with the indoctrination, where I'm saying the right needs to start younger. We need to start giving our message at a younger age. And
fortunately for young males, I forget what generation it is, Z, Y, and whatever it is.
I think it's
Z. Okay, yeah. The youngest generation is actually males are becoming predominantly, the curve is way up. They're becoming way more conservative. Unfortunately, the other side of that is female girls are becoming even more liberal because look, guess what? Boys and girls are different. Mm-hmm. Girls are more inclined to, they want to be nice. They want to go with the flow. They don't want to, and this, I'm talking in generalities here. I know some women, they're very much not this way, but they don't want to upset the apple cart. They want to be loving and caring. And when they're being told all this stuff from an early age, they're more inclined to approach that. So everyone else, like conservative dads, might seem like a mean, nasty person that just won't let this poor, nice guy that, happens to have mental illness babysit your child.
Mm-hmm. And also,
be more assholes. Yeah. We need more assholes.
And I do feel like some of that shift specifically with guys too, because I remember I saw that whole graph that went on Twitter and you saw South Korea just go crazy, which is awesome. But I think some of that shift with guys is that, especially a lot of younger guys, they feel like they've just been completely pushed away from any kind of just any friendship or anything. Like they're being demonized for just being a guy. So they're just like, well, screw you. I'm going to go to the other side of any political aisle you think I should be on and go against you.
Yeah, I think that's definitely happening some. And you see a lot of people are, this conversation is delving into all kinds of stuff, but a lot of people are, you see it out there. They're just searching for acceptance, love, whatever it is. And, you find a crowd that's willing to accept them, they'll go to it.
Yep. And, and also like, not to be too crass, but a lot of women now are just so loose with their morals and will get together. And the thing is, and
very fair here.
the thing is though, it's like, whatever, it is what it is. You could do what you want. Right. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of guys, they're enjoying that part. Right. But then when it comes time to settle down, I think that's where we see a little more of the conservative turn. It's like, wait a minute. I don't want to be with that. I don't want to be with the girl that has a three-digit body count. Like, no, that's not like, you know what I mean? Like, you go through generation, you get through college, you do that. You're not asking the young lady that you eventually with what her body count is. If you think she's a decent girl, right? You at that point, you're just kind of like, whatever. You accept that they did things when they were younger. They have experiences. It's fine. But if you're sitting there and it's a well-known thing, and then not only just her, but so many other girls are approaching triple-digit body counts, and that's a cool thing, I feel like that this generation is seeing that, and they're just like looking at all these girls who are all good time girls. There used to be the different groups, like, okay, we don't take that one home to mother. That group, we do take home to mother. You knew it. Now it's kind of...
There's a lot of apple carts getting overturned right now, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely is. So I want to jump into something that I think you had a lot of fun with, and obviously was very successful for you and the brand. The Conservative Dad, ultra right, basically hot conservative women calendar. And
no, not the calendar.
So we talked about, the radical conservative theories, right? And I have to say, I cannot stand the Puritan right. The Puritan right annoys the shit out of me because I'm looking at this calendar, and the one that gets the most flack is Josie, the redheaded libertarian, who is baking a pie.
Making a pie.
Wearing a dress. And like, I'm sorry, Josie's a good-looking woman. That's like that. They're just mad because she's a good-looking woman.
Originally, some nut called it demonic, which this is so dumb to even like give air, but obviously it got a ton of air and went wildly viral at the end of the year. So he called it demonic, and a lot of the reasoning based on this was, he claimed that she was trying to sexualize something. She's baking a pie, like she just looks good. Like that's not overtly sexual in itself.
They were mad that there was a cross in the background.
Because there's a cross in the background, which I find hilarious because I cannot even imagine the blowback from conservatives. If this was shot in her house, that's her kitchen. She is literally an award-winning pie baker. Imagine if I had gone into her home. She has like a cross in like every room. She's like very Catholic. Yeah. And if I had been like, hey, Josie, would you mind taking down the cross? I'm comfortable putting that in the conservative thing. Like, let's just leave that out. I don't want to put religion. People would have lost their shit on me.
As they should.
Right. And I was never going to, my mind, it never even crosses. This is her house. This is her shit. Like, it just wouldn't even go through my mind. And so there's a few, I could care less with, people.
And I have no problem saying it was Bryson Gray. Bryson Gray was going fucking crazy. And I don't understand why Bryson was, and I get it. Bryson's been on a kick ever since after, didn't he make Let's Go Brandon? Wasn't he the one that, it was one of them that he
didn't do the phrase or anything, but he made, I guess, one of the really popular songs with it.
Yeah.
It was like two really big ones, and he was one of the two.
And since that turn, like, I guess since Trump lost, he's gone on the whole entire Puritan right crusade. And that's fine. If you want to be a Christian rapper, and that's all well and good, whatever. But stop. I always find that those that are holier than thou and screaming out to the top of their lungs, their houses are really glass.
So it's like, get that hard drive.
Yeah. So it's like him and Hunter, mate. No, I'm not going to implicate that, but I have no problem with Bryson Gray for the most part. I like a lot of his opinions. I think his songs aren't bad at all, but it's sometimes when he goes on these crusades, I'm just like,
it's crap about me though. Someone sent me, it was kind of dumb. It had a couple of seconds of hilarity, but I'll give it that.
It is what it is. So where was the idea behind the calendar? Because it always used to be like the right was very much country, was a lot of NASCAR. And what comes with country and NASCAR? Smoking hot women. I'm sorry, everybody.
Usually in short shorts.
Like, short shorts, huge boobs, hot blondes. Like, that's what it was.
One thing we've said is like we're getting back to some of the basics of patriotism, great beer, patriotism, fast cars, and beautiful women.
Yeah.
And by the way, that used to not be controversial. And we're not putting out some of the stuff that some of the other beer companies used to put out.
Yep. Close to it.
Yeah, this is honestly, there's nothing in there that if you were to get together with a Baptist youth group, there's nothing in there that you wouldn't see there. So
I laughed at people mad at Riley Gaines being in a one piece. Like, she's a swimmer, you fucking idiots. Like, are you serious? Like,
yeah, they chose to make this a thing. Everyone was bored right after Christmas. And it went wild on Twitter, and
it might have helped you a whole lot, honestly.
It definitely helped us, which tells me the conservative base is not opposed.
So
we sold a ton of calendars.
I did see Chrissy Mayer was upset she wasn't included. Are we going to get a second calendar year?
I don't think she wanted to be. She's pregnant.
I am like right now.
Not
There's so
now.
many people that now asked to be in it. I'm like, this is gonna be a nightmare scenario because then I'm gonna like piss off all these people that we don't include. So I don't know. Maybe we do a lottery drawing.
No, you should do a conservative dad's hot dads now this time. They're like,
Like a firefighter one.
Yeah, there's been a lot of requests for that. We may go both routes on that. I don't know.
just put them all. Just get a whole bunch of like firefighters and input the faces of like conservative personalities. Like, get Ben Shapiro on one.
Shapiro like ripped.
No, he had his time on the billboard. You don't need to give him any more.
Yeah.
He did, but I don't know. Get like Glenn back and put Glenn on one of them, and like and like Alex Jones on another. Just make it like the most ridiculous thing.
No, Glenn's is specifically the colonel. Like everything looks like that except he's the colonel. It doesn't change for him.
Or you do everyone else that way, and you actually get Glenn shirtless and make him the only one that's legit. Tell him it's going to be superimposed, and just don't do it.
Oh, man, Chris over that one.
I mean, I feel like Glenn would laugh about it on air and then sue you off air, but it might be worth it.
Most likely, but man, they have a hell of a compound over there in Texas. By the way, his studio set is wild.
That's awesome.
I mean, getting the stuff that they have in there, I hear is cool too. Like I've never been. I'd love to be in there.
The world's greatest freaking museum. There's all
I'd love to go.
Sitting around that's like 1,000 years old, like body armor suits. I mean, just every wild thing you could imagine. And they're like, oh yeah, he's got the first. I was there a few months ago. The first, what is it, draft, I think, that was not the final wording of the Declaration of Independence, handwritten by Thomas Jefferson. They just have it there.
Yep.
I'm just like, it's wild.
Well, David,
I remember he has the original set from All in the Family there, right?
Yeah.
I literally, I can't believe I did not take a photo standing in the set, but I literally saw that while I was there.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah,
by the time this comes out and is big, David's going to ready to do it. But David's going on with Keith Malinak on his live stream, the producer of Pack Ray Unleashed tomorrow.
Nice.
Should be
So, you know, we're excited. But yeah, by the time people hear this, you're already going to be done with that stream probably. Yeah. So any other merch on the way along that line? I see you have shirts, you have cups, you have all this other stuff. But any other specialty merchandise that you guys are thinking of doing or putting out there soon?
Yeah, we've got more stuff coming. We're always doing more items like that. We're got more beverages coming, and so I think we'll be expanding our SKUs as to what we offer. Right now, we've got the one beer, but we're definitely offering more in the coming year. It's gonna be a wild ride. So we're going all in.
See, if I'm you after this pushback, I'm getting everyone and putting them in a bikini now and just really pissing everyone off.
There is an ultralight bikini coming. I don't know why. I mean, the one that you see Riley in and all these people, that one we're gonna have available on the site.
David, when
piece on the site prior to this for a while, and a lot of people bought it and loved it and everything. But we're gonna add the bikini in now.
David, when you fully transition, there you go. That could be your first bikini.
It's perfect.
David will be trying to walk around ultra right. Seth will be like, "Stop it! Get that off of you right now!" And then David's gonna go work at a daycare. It's gonna be perfect.
No control of the brand once we send the product. No free beer for you guys after that happens.
Damn it, lost all of our chance. So I want to jump into the ridiculous world that we're living in. Right now, the border is as secure and as closed as it's ever been. We have a bunch of really strong-willed Republicans in the House that, doing great things over there. What is going on? Like the border and the conservative Ken Buck is apparently the most conservative guy there, voting against impeaching Mayorkas. What the hell's going on with the border and all the shit going on there, Seth? What are you seeing?
Gross. Again, I worked in politics for a long time, and the thing I came to realize, like, I can do more through something like our brand than I can helping a lot of these people that get elected. Mm-hmm. We have. I've spent enough time in D.C. and around candidates and elected officials and stuff. It's some of the most pathetic people in your community that can learn some phrases that will do the bidding of the super PACs that fund their races. That's who gets elected, unfortunately. And you look at what happened with the border bill. This thing is so fucking insane. Like, there should be no, I'm not going to say there should be riots. That would be a bad term to use in light of some things. But
I want insurrections, damn it.
Backlash at the ballot box over what some of the immigration bill would have done more to help illegal immigration than stop it. It was unfucking believable. I don't know. There's so many, you keep finding out other things that are thrown into that bill. I don't know if you noticed this, but it was only involved Mexican and Canadian nationals. So if you were from any other country, you weren't a part of that. And they exclude kids. They do all this kind of shit to allow a shitload more people into this country, like in a easier manner, is really what it came down to. And it's wild. And the fact that there's Republicans were pushing it is truly unbelievable. And there's, unfortunately, the person to blame, which is, look, we're going to be doing a lot more with getting people out to vote, making sure they vote in primaries and other things. The unfortunate part is Republicans are the ones that elect these people over and over again. Some of our worst offenders are Republicans from deep red states. Mitch McConnell in Kentucky, Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. And I think who's the guy that wrote the immigration bill? Isn't he from Oklahoma?
Yeah,
Langford?
Langford.
Langford, yes.
Deep red Oklahoma. The problem is all these people, I'll sometimes tweet something about this and I'll see someone respond like, well, in the case of Lindsey Graham in South Carolina, I didn't have any other options. The only option I had was Lindsey Graham or the Democrat. I'm like, no, you fucking idiot. There was a primary that you clearly don't even know exists where you had 3 other actual conservatives that ran. But guess what? They didn't have a ton of money for slick ads. And you can't use the excuse of, well, I didn't know anything about them because I didn't see anything. All I saw was on TV. You can pop on Google and in 30 seconds find out who's running in your district or state, whatever it may be, and do a quick look, and you can quickly, any of the unnamed people that you have no idea who they are in Republican
easy to find out.
You've got a better chance of them actually being a conservative than the people with all the money running slick ads, telling you they love baby Jesus and everything wholesome.
So I'm curious because I don't know if I don't have any factual information, but what the fuck does Lindsey Graham have on Trump? Why does Trump keep endorsing this guy? Like, what does he? If the Democrats want to stop Trump, they need to put Lindsey Graham in a torture chamber and get him to talk because he has something. Because there is not a single reason why Donald Trump keeps on endorsing this guy.
I think he knows how to stroke Trump's ego. I also think he controls a shitload of money.
Yeah.
Through his PACs and campaigns. I think some years he's been the number one receiver of contributions in the Senate and stuff. So he controls a shitload of money. And I think Trump's trying to play the game and get along with everybody as long as they'll do what I want them to do, whatever. And like Graham will do that up to a point. But then,
once it comes to being an actual conservative, then he'll jump off that bandwagon.
He talks tough on Fox.
Come out like, let's be all on board with super conservative stuff, but then it's just wildly opposite a week later.
Yep.
I want to jump back real quick because I want to talk about Trump. I forgot to ask this during our ultra right section. What did you think of his Truth Social post? Because I'm a Trump supporter. I'm going to vote for him. But the post where he's like, Bud Light's not woke. Go back and buy Bud Light. And then, of course, the internet sleuths are like, he has 5 million in Bud Light. Like, so he wants them to succeed. Like, you as a person who is trying to be directly opposed to Bud Light, what is your plea to Donald Trump to fucking cut it out?
Comparison to Bud Light, ours is not beer flavored water. It's actually beer. So there is a difference. From talking with a lot of people now in the industry, a lot of these distributors that are the Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch distributors, a lot of them are actually very conservative people. And those are almost like, I don't know if it's not even really a franchise, but they're not owned in any way whatsoever by AB or whatever. So I've met and talked to a lot of these people. They're wildly conservative. They hate what Anheuser-Busch did as corporate. And I think a lot of those people, and I know there's a fundraiser, I think happening right now by one of those distributors for Trump. And I think he's meeting those people like, dude, I've been donating to conservatives all my life. Maybe they supported him in 2016 and all that. And so it really hurt a lot of those guys that are actually good guys and, fighting the conservative fight or whatever. And then you got Anheuser-Busch, InBev corporate with their, New York marketing clowns and people that came up with all this stupidity. And none of this is an excuse for Bud Light. But my point is, I think Trump is, from what I understand, close to some of those people that are not involved with corporate. And they're like, here I am. I'm a conservative. We're getting killed and we're trying to give you money and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know. That's maybe where it went. But I do know this. His base response was not positive because I never get on Truth Social. that someone sent me that, so I did get on to look at the comments, and it's exactly what I thought. No one was pleased with it at all. So I don't think it's not going to change anything, though.
So a call to the distributors: you guys are cool for now. When ultra right gets huge, though, you motherfuckers got to change. Like, that's it. Go from Bud Light, and now you're an ultra right distributor. Like that. That's where we're at now.
We have to get new stickers for their trucks.
Yeah.
I think that'll be you. If you can start distributing at that level, a sticker is going to be the least of your worries. You could definitely, you'll buy them a new truck. Be like, here, you get a good one. Take the. So we're going to jump back. I want to talk about our fearless leader. So it came out today that a special counsel decided that Joe Biden, even though he did some illegal shit, is too senile to actually stand trial and get convicted.
I was reading some of that right before I went out the door to my dinner, just like on Twitter and stuff. Absolutely wild that would come out of his DOJ.
Yes, yeah.
They literally just said he'd be like, I can't remember the phrase exactly, but it essentially be like,
He's an elderly old man. They called him an elderly old man.
Well-intentioned elderly old man with failing memory.
Yep.
And then, and I heard in this, I missed completely, but right before I got on with you guys, I saw I guess Biden did some kind of press conference thing.
He did about that.
Absolute calamity from what I heard. I don't know. Have y'all seen any of that? Y'all know?
I saw clips. He called the president. He said Sisi was the president of Mexico, and he needs to open up Gaza. Like, yeah,
and that was after saying his memory is fine. Like, right after.
And he said he's the president of red states and green states. Like, the guy is out to lunch permanently. Like,
and the thing is this is already obvious to anyone who paid any attention to whatever he said for the past 4 years.
But you're a conspiracy theorist if you would say such a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Somehow.
You're not.
Well, listen, a conspiracy theorist today is factual in like 2 months now. It's getting quicker and quicker.
Yeah, it used to be 6. I think you're right. It's probably changed a little bit. No, it's unbelievable. Like, I thought about it. Like, imagine when the kind of the history of this gets written in whatever it is, 100 years, 50 years, whatever it is. And there's going to be some people that were there that start finally spilling the beans a little bit. Like the kid of the doctor, like, Dad, would come home and tell these stories. You know, it's like, it's going to be really unbelievable. It's going to be wild to know that we operated as a country like that for 4 years. It's just mind-numbing to think about.
I think operated is a subjective term there. Yeah. I mean, it depends on what way they were planning to go anyway, because some people could say this is all the plan, really.
What's going to be interesting is they're going to talk about all the other presidents, Reagan with this failing like health, like later in his, presidency, and FDR hiding his polio and things like that.
And Biden with his stutter.
But it's going to, not even that, but they're going to be like, and then you have this president who did not give a single fuck and was clearly had dementia for 4 years, and everyone was just like, that's cool. Hopefully not 8.
In that Department of Justice document, they said that he didn't remember when he was vice president.
Yes,
that's wild.
Fuck. And I think the real shocker will be is when they find out he doesn't remember when he was president. It's going to be
Still
worse.
Doesn't.
Oh, another thing he did during the speech, he talked about, his dead son, Bo, and that he always wears a rosary that he had. And he goes, and he got this from Our Lady of, and then he just moved on. He couldn't remember where he got the rosary, the place. He's such a devout Catholic. You would think even a guy with dementia would remember, like, you're supposed to remember long term, not short with this type of stuff. Like, it's actually pathetic. And the issue here,
the reason we're getting such horrific things out of them is a lot of the people, and this is always kind of been true of DC and the elected officials and all this stuff. The people running a lot of things are these young staffers and interns from rich mommy and daddy that never had a real job in their life, and they get up there and they think they know it all. They live in a DC bubble. They have no idea what's going on in the country, and they're just there to fix us all.
And they have sex in the Senate chamber with their partner.
God.
And
I'm happy I never watched that video. I never clicked on, never got anywhere close to it.
That used to be sent around as like porn to your friends. They used to get them to click on the random thing and then it would show up to that, like meatspin.com.
These are the kinds of people that couldn't run a popsicle stand if their life depended on it. And they're trying to tell the nation how to run it. And they're forming policy. They're writing speeches for the president of the United States. And these are the kind of clowns that think you should allow your children to be babysat by a mentally deranged tranny.
Yeah, and the worst part,
bold and brave move.
yeah, and the worst part is you could even, not only could you see it from a political standpoint, how awful it is, these straight out of college kids that know nothing and actually never actually did anything, but you could see it and even just corporation standpoints, because you could see that Disney's been basically run into the ground by that. Like, there's so many corporations, entertainment wise and every other wise, that just listen to these people who don't know what they're talking about, and you just see them losing money and losing money and losing money. You're like, well, why would they make these decisions? And it's because they're listening to them.
Yeah.
100%.
Sure. It's a wild world we're in right now, but I do think a reckoning is coming.
Oh, yeah.
And I certainly hope so, but I believe it is. And I think a lot of people don't know what to do to fight back. And I think that's part of what has made our brand such a success in such a short amount of time is they're going to buy beer anyway. Yeah. And they're like, you know what? Hey, I'm going to at least buy it from a company that at least believes what I believe. But not only that, we're actually out donating money to all these causes that are truly conservative causes. We're not donating any money to Lindsey Graham. But we'll sell him beer if he wants it. But we're actually out there, fighting the fight kind of there. And, it's like one thing. So our next edition of our can that is coming out is it's going to look the same. We're not changing the whole classic red, white, and blue thing, but we're going to have a QR code on it. And when you scan it, so there's roughly, what is it? Scott Pressler has all these numbers like to a T. I can probably mess it all up, but it's like 10% of rural would-be conservative voters aren't even registered. That is election changing. When you talk about statewide elections, that is election changing. And there's a huge, I forget what it is, 6 million hunters and fishers that are not registered voters. And I'm sure there's some overlaps with that rural number as well there. But those are people that are most likely going to be voting the right way. So we're putting a QR code on there. So when you're sitting around having your ultra right and reading the can, you can scan it and it's going to take you to site. It's going to take you. So Scott Pressler has an organization that's a kind of a turnoff of Turning Point.
Yep.
They're getting people registered. Yep. And it'll take you directly to his organization, and they'll kind of take it from there, make sure people get registered, and then they can, once they get their info, they can remind them when to vote, remind them to vote in primary, all those kinds of things that need to be happening. And so we're trying to we're having fun, we're selling a great beer, but we're also trying to accomplish things. So we're a great beer, but we're also a movement brand.
We're trying to get Scott on here. He's a tough guy to communicate with. We had some correspondence, but man, he's so freaking busy. I don't blame him.
He's wild.
So, there's another thing that I think needs to be done, and this is an astronomical thing, and I don't have the capability of doing it, but there needs to be a database where people can put their zip code in, and all their local officials pop up, because nobody knows who the hell they are.
I mean, I think that exists. You can go online and find this, and just no one wants to do it.
But there needs to be something simple where it's on the beer and there's a QR code and it's like, oh, who are my local officials? You know what I mean? You make things simple for people. The internet's not simple enough anymore because they have to type keys, right? It's all about making it easier. And it's like, and there needs to be something there because that's a good way to change. People want to know where they could start. Go to the council meeting.
Not knowing who they are, but it's knowing to go vote and go vote in those primaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when it matters.
Yeah.
If you're a conservative state, the primary is far more important than the general election.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's a part of me that's like, no doubt I want to take what your idea, Alex. I want to activate people and get them to understand that this is good, but it's also how did you get so complacent and so sluggish in actively going for things that are directly contributing to your life? It is a little bothersome at that point.
I get it. And I think a lot of people, it's different reasons. We all get busy with life. You're dragging kids around to 14 super important sports events at 11, or they're not going to get chosen for the NBA because there's a very high likelihood, of course. And, you're running around and living life. And, it's overwhelming, I think, to some people. Some of us had the interest in politics early on. I think a lot of people nothing's going to change. I can't do anything about it anyway. And it can certainly seem that way. So there is a lot of complacency. But again, that's why we're trying to have fun. Yeah. We're trying to also engage people in the political process.
I almost want less people involved because I think too many people think they know something.
Still going to get the homeless crackheads vote. Okay?
I agree.
You got to have our version of that voting as well. Okay. And
the toothless fisherman. I'm messing.
there's a lot of toothless fishermen that I would say could run the country way better than
no doubt.
I'll tell you that.
They could definitely, they know what type of fish they want to catch, and they're not going to mistake it for like a world leader.
They would understand a country needs a border. They would understand that.
Yeah.
So speaking of countries, Tucker Carlson recently interviewed Vladimir Putin. It basically has broken the mainstream media. I mean, they moved on now.
Treason, most likely.
Which is ridiculous. You know, he's just doing his job. Now, I didn't watch the full thing. I've seen clips. David watched the full thing.
Oh, I haven't had a chance yet.
I had the time, so I put it in.
Minutes of it. Well, like some stuff as I was like on my way to dinner, I was listening, but like I didn't get far into it. But it seemed interesting.
So, David, if you want to throw in some highlights, like quickly, if you want to throw some stuff in, we could talk.
Okay, so really, it starts off. Putin is ridiculously autistic about Russian history. He knows a lot. He goes over it, and it's insane. And honestly, it gets kind of boring at times.
He's very.
Yeah, he's very smart. But he goes over that to basically explain why he went into Ukraine.
Wait. You call Vladimir Putin very smart?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, my God.
I'll be canceled again tomorrow.
You're a puppet of the Kremlin.
Adversaries, people on the other side can be very smart. You know, I used to think Carville was very smart up until his recent declining years, but he used to be very smart on the left. There's people on the other side that can be very smart.
Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No, it's fine. That's a very good reason to block it, honestly. But overall, the whole interview, I thought Tucker did very well. He pushed back a bunch of times. He asked pertinent questions. And Putin, honestly, I mean, take it from who it's coming from. It's coming from Vladimir Putin. But he answered, it seemed at least sentimentally, according to what Russia would want. And, I mean, he took some jabs against the U.S., but it was interesting because it wasn't cultural jabs. It was actually political and diplomatic jabs. So I think it's interesting to really pick through that interview. It's long and it's tedious at times, but it's stuff that I think would be good to think about and really figure out what he said that was correct and what he said that wasn't exactly correct.
Yeah. That's the one thing with Russia. You just can't trust what's coming out of there because their media is run by so many people that want to like paint a false narrative of reality. Wait, no, there's at that point. But nonetheless, I wouldn't trust Russia either.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, trusting Russia and trusting the leftist media are like very similar, right? You know, what I found interesting from the clips that I saw was, you know, less of the questions Tucker asked, right? Because it's easy to ask a hard question and it's really easy for them to dodge it and then you just kind of move on. One thing I saw Tucker doing consistently is if he didn't get the answer he wanted, he asked again. And he would phrase it.
Of course he will, yeah.
But it's different though, because I don't know if I could sit in front of Vladimir Putin and knowing that this dude has no problem offing me.
Your plane might not make it all the way back to the U.S.
I'm happy Tucker stayed away from balconies because that's the way Russians all die. They all fall off balconies somehow. So he stayed away from any balconies. So he was clear that way. But, you know, I just like the brazenness.
Tucker back in the U.S. yet?
I don't think so.
Oh, really?
I don't think so.
All right. Well,
President Trump, if you're listening for whatever reason, please send someone to go get Tucker. Send the SEAL team.
We need Tucker. All right. We need to get Tucker back here safely.
The only thing is, I do believe that if anything happens to Tucker and Putin knows this, there would be no choice. It would be an international incident, and Biden would have no choice because he is a major, major face in the United States, whether people like him or not.
I think Biden wouldn't give it. I think they'd be pretty pleased on that side of things, but nonetheless, it would be an international. They're not going to kill Tucker.
No. Not yet. They might, maybe eventually, but no, it was no. There were interesting clips.
By a shark while he's like trout fishing out where he lives in Maine, like in a creek. He might get like attacked by a great white shark and killed or something. I don't know, but like it'll be something like that.
I'd be more worried if he said he had any info on the Clintons than him interviewing Putin.
Putin doesn't even talk about the info he has on the Clintons. That's how you know the Clintons have everyone. Like, damn it, we mentioned the Clintons. We're screwed. Like, we're done here. We don't have any info. We promise, guys. We promise. So, anything else in the future for you outside of beer? Do you plan on doing anything else with the Conservative Dad Ultra Right brand?
The conservative brand, this conservative dad brand, we've got a lot of plans for, and we're going to continue down the road of the beverage industry. So we're not just stopping at beer. We're not just stopping at this. We're going to continue. We're going to have an alternative to all these companies that hate you and fund all kinds of awful things that affect our children, that affect us, etc., you're going to have an option now on the aisle in multiple beverage categories. We've only been in business like 9.5 or 10 months, whatever it is right now. But there's definitely a lot coming in. So yeah, I'm a beer beverage man all the time right now. So every other week I'm traveling to a different state or territory that we're in. Sunday night I leave for Arkansas. I'll be there for a week on the ground, going around with the distributors in their markets, meeting with the retailers, bars, restaurants, etc. I come back here for a week, then I'm off to I think West Virginia for a week or where, just on and on like that. Just got back from Tennessee. So just letting people know as we roll out into retail in these different states that that it's actually there now. You can go buy it, that kind of thing. So we're going to continue on with the brand. And again, I'm trying to create something. So all these leftist companies, they grow into these huge companies providing a product that a lot of conservatives use, and then they take our money and they give it to all the causes we despise.
Yep.
So I want us to grow and get big enough where we're doing the exact same thing, but giving to opposite causes.
I do have a question, actually. Now, I don't think you're necessarily big enough to be giving to some of the other some things I'm thinking about right with this question. But if you were to get big enough, would you also invest in culture on the right? Like we have interviewed people that are starting to make movies and do certain things like comics and other things. Would you ever invest in those kind of ventures?
That's a I don't know. That's a hypothetical in the future kind of scenario. But right now we're beer is culture.
No doubt.
This country was founded on beer and taverns across the country, and so I think we're going to try to take back that segment and still give to these conservative causes. But I do know I have to remain laser focused on what we're doing to do it right. And that's why I'm laser focused, on beer right now. Yeah. And we're going to continue that again in the beverage world. Mm-hmm. And what we're doing, that's the point of a lot of this. It is affecting culture, and we're doing things to encourage that. So one way or the other. I think the Daily Wire's got the edge on the movies or whatever.
That's true. So coming up to Poughkeepsie, New York, because that's where I am. And there's don't judge New York by the city, okay? Most of New York is conservative.
It's unbelievable how many orders we've sent to New York.
Yeah. Poughkeepsie, we have a good distributor called Halftime here. I guarantee they just have beer from everywhere. You could definitely get up here, Halftime distributors up here. So I also want to ask, how much support have you gotten from major conservative people, companies, things like that? Like, have there been pushback against trying to hurt a company like an Anheuser-Busch or Bud Light because it is like an American staple? Or have you gotten more support than you thought you would? What has that been like and in terms of that area?
I knew the people would support us, and they have. And honestly, we've gotten a ton of support from conservative media. Fox News has actually been great to us. It's wild that they would ever allow someone like me on their air. Yeah. So I'll give them credit for taking that unbelievable risk. And just for on down the line, I won't start trying to name Tim Pool, Tim Cass, but I'm not trying to start naming all the people because we've been covered by like every media outlet, pro and con, that you can imagine. But the conservatives have been wildly embracive of what we've been doing, and that's really what's allowed us for this to take hold, like it has.
It's kind of shocking that the major conservatives, because usually with something like this, you get like a big group that just suck. But the fact that it's been like,
I've been told we get good clicks, and I think they're not willing to give that away. So that's good.
That is good. So last thing I want to ask you, what more, from your opinion, can be done for conservatives to finish? I feel like right now we're pushing back in the culture war and culturally more than in my lifetime, my 35 years of life. This is the most I've seen conservatives really.
Well, the other side's pushing harder than we've ever seen push in our lifetimes either. Yeah. I think that's kind of what's sending us on this collision course.
So what more can the right do to continue to maybe gain an edge there? What would your opinion be on that?
I think, and so we support the 1776 Project PAC.
Yeah.
I don't like most PACs. I don't like giving money to PACs. I don't like giving money to politicians, even on the right, because they all suck. but it's the one that I actually really support. And so what they do, school boards are one of the most consequential things that you can affect. They've become way more expensive than they used to be, but it's not like running for Congress and a lot of these other things. We fully funded a school board race for them last year. And, my hope is to fund many school board races in the future.
That's awesome.
And so you've got these absolute, some of these people should be in jail. And I'm not even saying that facetiously or joking. Like if you come to my child and try to give them some of the books that they're putting in these schools, I'm not afraid to go to jail for a night or two.
Hell yeah.
I mean that.
Yeah.
And I think that more people need to take that approach, but we've got to get rid of those people off of school boards. And they've been doing, at 1776 Project, they've been doing an incredible job. They're actually winning races. And these school boards with these lunatics are happening in places. We have Cherokee County here in Georgia is a very deep red, religious, everything else kind of community. And we had 3 total nutbags on a school board over there, and they actually defeated them. Because a lot of times in a lot of places, school board races are nonpartisan. There's no such thing as nonpartisan.
It doesn't exist.
Every judge that runs is partisan. And by the way, most judges are bad, even in deep red districts. And so you've got to start paying attention to those races and asking the right questions, or we're never going to get over these things. So yeah, school boards are, I think, an incredible way to make a difference.
Do you work with Moms for Liberty as well in terms of doing things like that?
I've not worked directly with them. I'm familiar with them. I feel like, I could be wrong on this, but I feel like 1776 might work with them in some capacity, or maybe they're just
Pretty sure they do.
I think they do. We've had Tiffany Justice on the show, one of the co-founders, and there's someone that I think, you guys will work well together. If you like 1776, they have the same mission, supporting, they only support school board and stuff like that. And they're also Courage as a Habit is also with them. So I feel like you guys all jiving together. I think it's a perfect marriage there.
Yeah. No, there's some people out there actually doing good work on the ground, and it's typically not your local congressman from your deep red district. But don't worry, they're a military veteran. They care about baby Jesus, dogs, puppies particularly. Sometimes they wear an eye patch because they love America so much. But come to find out, they're still just big pieces of shit.
Yep.
So I want to make a push.
Dan Crenshaw. Well, I am talking about Dan Crenshaw.
Eye Patch McCain, one of the best nicknames ever. But
I dislike him more than I've ever disliked McCain, actually.
I kind of hate them both, but that's okay.
He's more a fraud than McCain. McCain was actually a little more out there, like just he would kind of roll with it.
Well, everyone knew he was a blue dog.
Yeah, Crenshaw has been a phony from the day he ran. And it kills me that people can't see this, because I said that when he first started running. He's like, this is not what you're thinking, guys. But he served in the military. But so did Hitler. But that doesn't mean you should elect him, okay? Not making a comparison, of course.
Maybe. But so I think what we need to do, we need to start getting all the candidates that you support. You need to get them conservative dads, ultra right hats. And they need to all rock the hats at every school board meeting.
Sign this a safe person to vote for.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if they're willing to wear an ultra right hat, then yeah, they probably are a decent bet that they're going to vote right.
Might be good or bad, because that might be like the mark of the beast, like the sign.
We need to, no.
So, Seth, thank you so much for coming on.
Whoa,
Dave, you have your question. I always forget.
I have my non sequitur.
Yes, go ahead.
It's not a non sequitur, but this one's out of left field, and I just randomly thought of it. Toilet paper roll. Do you go over or under?
Ooh.
Okay. If you go under, you're an idiot. The only way is over. I don't even understand how someone would ever. How would you ever do that? How would you think this makes sense? It doesn't.
I think the last time that I did a roll under, I was like 6 trying to help my mom, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Yeah, I teach my kids better, but your mom did eventually, clearly, hey, so it worked out.
My mom's a little psycho Italian woman. She would drive to Georgia to come fight you. but yeah, Dave, you definitely do under, don't you? You're a psycho.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
What?
No, yeah, of course. And I'm trans. Yeah, no doubt.
Oh man! So again,
surprised that got you. Maybe I should go into acting or something.
Seth, thank you so much for coming on. This was lots of fun, man.
It was great to be here. I appreciate you guys.
Once again, he is Seth Weathers, CEO of Conservative Dads Ultra Right Beer. Outside of the beer, where can people go to buy the beer if they want to go online, and anything else that you would like to plug?
So you can obviously go to ultrarightbeer.com, but depending on the state you're in, we're also in stores. And the thing is, even if you're not in a state we're in, go ahead and start asking. And we're in a lot of states. We've got like, I don't know, probably more than that, like 12 new states that in the next few months we're launching in. Mm-hmm. But it does us a lot of good if you go to your retailer, wherever you buy beer, and ask them for the beer. And if so, regardless of where you're at, go into that place where you're going to get beer and say, why aren't you selling Conservative Dad's Ultra Right Beer? Because that really helps us with our distribution. So anything you can do there would be great. You can always find me on Twitter at Seth Weathers. It's the one place I won't get banned for now.
For now. So definitely go there, follow Seth, go buy the beer, and go buy the merch as well, because he has some pretty dope merch. Mm-hmm. If you like what you heard today, give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, 5-star rating, spread this word of mouth. Go look for us on the socials at the Alex Cuesta Show. We'll be back next week, as always, with another fun guest. Having a great time. Everybody, so long.